Thank you for joining us. Let's get started with the Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto, who has spoken for the first time since the case against him at the International Criminal Court was terminated. He says he has forgiven all individuals and the civil society groups that he claims peddled falsehoods against him in relation to his alleged role in the 2007-2008 post-election violence that rocked Kenya. An emotional Ruto said the case against him collapsed and was terminated simply because he was innocent, and that truth has finally prevailed. Duncan Hyemba now reports.
After remaining conspicuously silent for 3 days after ICC terminated a case against him, Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto has finally spoken, saying it was just a matter of time.
I have seen many people try to assign all manner of reasons or excuses to the collapse of this case. But I want to stand here this morning to tell all and sundry that this case collapsed because we are innocent.
An emotionally charged DP explained how difficult the past 6 torturous years of trial have been for him and his family, particularly his wife Rachel and his mother Sarah, who accompanied him to the media briefing.
If this matter had gone in any other way, she would have been devastated because she knows how she brought me up. She took me to Sunday school. She made sure I went to youth camps. She did what every mother would do for their child.
Ruto maintains he neither participated in meetings in his house to plan violence, nor purchased guns or other weapons.
It is my prayer that the same God who has vindicated me will help them come to terms with their evil acts and help them bring them to repentance.
And for that reason, the country's number 2 in command says he holds no grudge against anyone.
I have searched my conscience and my soul, and I have chosen that all those who gave false testimony against me, I have chosen to forgive them.
Unlike in his previous media engagements, the DP did not field any questions from journalists. The truth has prevailed. That is Deputy President William Ruto's message, who says he has thoroughly searched his conscience and soul and decided to forgive all those he says peddled false claims against him. Duncan Hyemba, KTN News, Nairobi.
All right, so the DP said he would forgive all those that aimed to fix him. And now with us in studio, our guest Duncan, we just want to get his feedback as well from that, because you also expressed that you were willing to forgive those you said fixed you. Let me begin briefly with asking, how do you know these people fixed you? What evidence do you have?
I would say that we know, because the kind of allegation that was leveled against us are things that we didn't do, and it seemed to have come from a group, and we know some have come out to say that we did it. So that's what I would say for now.
All right.
Yeah.
And how do you know they will not continue to fix you now that you appear to be off the hook? They might come back and say we still need to finish our job.
No problem, because our God is alive and he knows us. He's so far vindicated us. If they want to do the same thing, the goodness is that they will not get anything that would either that can say that find us guilty at any way. Because, like I would say, I'm innocent. I'll be innocent tomorrow. You can go anywhere doing investigation, and you'll find me innocent always.
All right, and we'll hear more from Joshua Arap Sang later on the show, as we'll be having our interview as well as Katwa Kigan. You have been representing him for the past 6 years, it has been, when the proceedings officially began. That was what, 4 now?
Yes, 2008.
Yes.
2009, sorry.
2009. All right,
Yes.
so we'll have that conversation right here on Friday Briefing. Do stay with us for that. But let's move on to other news that's making headlines as well today, where the Kenyan Directorate of Criminal Investigations has confirmed that only 1 out of the 8 bosses of 2 Kenyan banks wanted by police has made attempts to surrender to them. The CID Director, Ndegwa Muhoro, has warned the other 7 that if they fail to show up at the CID headquarters by midnight tonight, they will be hunted down. This comes after Inspector General of the National Police Service, Joseph Boynet, ordered the arrest of 6 National Bank of Kenya bosses and 2 Chase Bank top officials over unethical conduct. KTN's Abiagina has that report for us.
It may turn out to be a long night for the CEOs and several directors of 2 of Kenya's banks after the Inspector General of Police ordered their arrest. In a statement, the IG Joseph Boynet directed that suspended NBK Managing Director Munir Mohammed, Chase Bank's Chairman Zirful Zakan, and Chase Bank Group MD Duncan Kafoe must present themselves to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters by 3:30 p.m. Friday or face arrest. Others who have been summoned from the National Bank of Kenya include Executive Director Boniface Biko, Chief Credit Officer George Jaba, ICT Director Mohamed Abdallah, and Chief Financial Officer Chris Kisire. In a strange twist, the police have also arrested one David Mukunzi Zawadi, accused of spreading panic on social media with alleged false information about a crisis in Kenyan banks. These developments came in as President Uhuru Kenyatta lauded CBK Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge for his unrelenting stance on rogue banks. The vote of confidence by the presidency on CBK's spirited push to tame banks is set to spark off a round of jitters as banks with the discrepancies in their books work fast to put their records in order before the CBK pounces.
The Kenya's financial system is very sound. I just want to say that the failure of the Chase Bank Limited and the Imperial Bank were as a result of unsound practices, which led to the Central Bank of Kenya to appoint the KDIC as receiver for banks in the interest of depositors, creditors, and also the members of the public.
In a meeting convened by National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich Friday afternoon that saw all bank CEOs attend, the message was clear that the government would not tolerate malpractices in the banking sector. Non-compliance in the banking industry has been rife, with banks going on reckless lending sprees at the expense of depositors who bear the brunt at the end. So far, at least 3 banks have been placed under receivership for having failed to adhere to the banking regulations governing banks.
The last 3 of these institutions, Dubai Bank, I think you remember we are on record as saying that this wasn't a bank. The operations that are there, and you know where that is. The matter is before the courts, and we'll deal with it. And it is for the population, they'll see where the things are. But again, some of these things take a bit of time. And the other one, Imperial Bank, I think we are also on record as saying that there was a lot of fraud there.
Rotich has indicated that they will continue to tighten regulations to ensure utmost compliance to the law. Before these developments, confidence in the banking system had been at an all-time high, with Kenya having one of the highest financial inclusion rates of about 80% in the region. The government says it will also step up surveillance on social media to nab rumor mongers to avoid a bank run in the highly sensitive banking sector, estimated to be worth over 6 trillion shillings in both assets and deposits.
This is the first time a bank has been brought down by malicious rumors, as far as I can tell.
Abiagina, KTN News.
Now, there was drama at the Nairobi Pumwani Hospital after a woman reportedly lied to her husband and hospital officials that a newborn baby she gave birth to at the facility had been killed. Now, her allegations, however, fell apart when tests indicated that she was 9 weeks pregnant, prompting the hospital's administration to have her arrested, Trix Engado reports.
A bad day probably doesn't quite describe what Christine Nashiba was having when a lie landed her in big trouble with Pumwani Hospital staff and the authorities. She says her allegations of infanticide were only meant to make her alleged violent husband leave her for good, something that was perhaps evidenced by her black eye and the bruises on her body. Witnesses say said husband, upon hearing the news, showed up at the hospital demanding the body of his baby for burial.
Tusi mambo mingi tu inaendelea na kuchapa nikafikiria mimi la muhimu ni kwa sina mimba yake lakini niko nayo ndio nimwambie tu hakuna ndio niache.
Hospital staff say there is no record of her delivering at the hospital, let alone receiving antenatal care.
When we interrogated her, we found out that actually she did not attend antenatal clinic in this hospital. And she does not appear in our records in the antenatal clinic, and even she had not delivered. She does not appear in our books that she delivered in this hospital.
Christine allegedly gave yet another false report in a hospital in Ngara. Hospital staff say such allegations against the hospital are not a rare occurrence. They reckon most stem from societal and family pressure.
Because of the quarrels, she wants to run away from the matrimonial home. So she's looking for a reason to run away. So she's telling the husband that pregnancy which I had, I've given birth and the baby has died. So me, I'm going away.
Christine's bizarre plot, however, blew up in her face, landing her in the hands of the police. Trix Engado, KTN News, Nairobi.
Catholics around the world are tonight digesting what seems to be a new approach announced by Pope Francis at the Vatican today. The Pope has called for a church that is less strict and more compassionate towards what he called imperfect Catholics, such as those who divorced and remarried, saying no one can be condemned forever. Pope Francis has also said gays should be respected. And as KTN's Michelle Ngele reports, a section of Kenyan Catholic bishops have warned followers not to misinterpret the Pope's message.
In the 256-page document titled Amoris Laetitia, Latin for the joy of love, Pope Francis calls for the Roman Catholic Church to welcome single parents, gay people and unmarried straight couples who are living together. While emphasizing that unjust discrimination against gays and lesbians is unacceptable, the Pope has also urged the Church to be more accepting of every person regardless of sexual orientation, writing that every sign of unjust discrimination is to be carefully avoided, particularly any form of aggression and violence.
Obviously, people want to know, is the Pope going to say yes to communion for divorced and remarried Catholics? Is the Pope going to open the doors to gay and lesbian families? And I think that that's the wrong way of looking at this issue. The main thing that the Pope wants is the Church to walk with humanity. And I think one of the things that we'll see in this document is a call for discernment in individual cases. Pope Francis has already indicated this path by changing the Church's laws on annulments, giving it more specifically to local bishops, the responsibility to find out, is this a true marriage, not a true marriage? Should these people be reinstituted into receiving communion?
Catholics who have divorced and remarried in civil ceremonies are considered to be still married to their first spouse and living in sin, and are therefore barred from receiving the Holy Communion. Alluding to the diversity and complexity of a global church, the Pope effectively pushes decision-making downward to bishops and priests, stating that a different country or region can seek solutions better suited to its culture.
At the end of the day, it's the Pope who decides. After all the talk and all the chat, he will decide, and I suspect that he will be very careful not to alienate people on the left, as it were, the progressives, or people who are more traditional in their Catholicism.
Kenyan Catholic bishops gave their take on the Pope's message.
The Pope is encouraging that sense of love for one another that overcomes even sin. The Pope is a Catholic, and I think he's born of a Catholic family. I don't think he will accommodate homosexual.
And as Pope Francis calls for a church that is less strict and more compassionate, the document is likely to stir debate and disagreement among many Catholics, especially in the interpretation of the Pope's language. Michelle Ngele, KTN News.
Now, the following story may make some of you uncomfortable, but it is a development that has left a section of Kenyans quite excited. Tonight, non-believers can go to bed a happy lot. This is after the Office of the Attorney General officially registered atheists in Kenya as a legal society. The registration has come with much joy from the Atheists in Kenya organization, even as skeptics criticize the move to register them as a step in the wrong direction. Timothy Atieno now reports.
This document, signed by the Deputy Registrar of Societies on the 17th of February 2016, officially registering atheists in Kenya as a society, is the cause for the huge smile on the face of the society's president, Harrison Mumia.
Today is a great day for the atheists in Kenya because we are now recognized in law as a society. In Africa, we are the first society to be registered as an atheist society, given that most of the African nations are very, very religious.
Having officially collected the certificate of registration from the Office of the Attorney General on Thursday morning, he narrates of a treacherous journey that has seen him face criticism from religious and government organs in the country.
Our first attempt to register atheists in Kenya as a society flopped because there were some state officers at the Office of the Registrar who were making the decision to register atheists in Kenya in a very partisan fashion. These were Christians who thought that the country is founded on religious values, which is not the case.
The organization, formed back in 2012, will now legally have the right to promote its agenda, which includes its push to have the education curriculum altered, to have religious studies in schools scrapped off, as well as public prayer rallies banned.
We have to start accepting, and the government has to also start accepting, and everybody has to accept that not everybody believes in the existence of a God.
The Kenyan nation, with largely strong religious groups, may now have to contend with a group determined to spread its message that there is no God. For a nation that consists of about 80% Christian population and 11% Muslim population, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the registration of those who believe there is no higher religious being is already creating sharp and varied reaction among a section of Kenyans.
It shows that they accept devil worshipping in this country. So it is like licensing devil worshipping. So on my side, I've said no to it. And if at all there can be a group who can protest against that, then I'll join them.
It is in order for these people who are called the atheists to be registered and to be recognized in our country. The reason is they believe in God. It's a strong mental conviction that there is a power which is behind the making of all creation.
I think it's very sad because Kenya is founded on the belief of God. Even in our anthem, we say, "Oh God of all creation, Ee Mungu nguvu yetu." Kwa hivyo naonelea hiyo registration ya atheists, it goes against our values as Kenyans.
The society currently has a registration database of only 70 individuals, but Harrison remains hopeful that with its legalization, membership will go up. Their next course of action now, according to Harrison, is to promote the understanding of the world through science and rationale as opposed to faith-based values.
We reject the idea, for example, that miracles happen, that people can be healed through prayer.
And so, even as you read the Holy Quran or Bible,
Harrison says you should let your heart accommodate the fact that there probably isn't a higher being controlling the universe. And if you doubt it, then be sure to see atheists in Kenya advocate for a cause meant to dispel what they term as a myth of a god. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
All right, so the atheists in Kenya are now what one would say official. We want to hear your thoughts on that story today. Talk to us about what you think on whether you support actually the registration of the Atheist Association of Kenya. That's our big question tonight. You can send in your views on 22155. That's our SMS number. Remember to begin with your name as well as where you're texting in from. You can also tweet me directly at Sophia Wanuna. Do you support the registration of the Atheist Association of Kenya? Let us hear from you tonight. Now, police have today arrested 41 foreigners in Nairobi. The foreigners who were found in a residential apartment in Runda, Nairobi, are linked with illegal use of communication equipment. Among the 41, 22 are Chinese and 19 Taiwanese. The police confiscated equipment that included 14 laptops and cell phones. The 32 men and 9 women are said to have arrived in Kenya between February 18th and the 1st of this month. They were taken to Kiambu Police Station, where they will await their fate. Police are now looking for the owner of the apartment where they were found and the person who facilitated their entry into the country.
These are okay. You also ask the same question. The upload mistakes. No, that's okay. These ones, worst case scenario. We've got a MacBook.
You need to know the people that you are leasing your houses to, the people that you are renting your houses to. If you don't know whatever kind of criminal activity they're going to be carrying out, how it's going to affect you, one way or the other. At times we tend to just look at the money aspect, or what you're getting from the leasing or the renting of these houses or residences. Again, it's an appeal, and a passionate appeal I want to make. And not just the landlords, you're also talking about people running guest houses and lodgings. It's important that you get to take full particulars, for example, of the residents or guests that you have. And if you suspect suspicious character, if you suspect suspicious activities, just pass on the information to us.
Kenyan opposition leaders say they will camp at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission offices to demand for the disbandment of the IEBC. The opposition leaders also told the Ugunja Member of Parliament, Opiyo Wandayi, to stay put in Parliament, arguing the legislator was right in his actions when he, together with others, interrupted President Uhuru Kenyatta's speech last week in Parliament. The court leaders were speaking in Ugunja, Siaya County.
We want to make it clear to Mr. Kasa that we are not going to go to another election with you as the chair of IEBC. We are not going to go to another election with IEBC as currently constituted. Yes. So we are calling upon all Kenyans from next week. We are going to be at Anniversary Tower. We are going to occupy IEBC until IEBC goes home.
Uhuru Kenyatta is not a member of parliament. He is not. He was there at the invitation of Wandayi and other members of parliament. So I want to tell the Speaker Muturi that saying that Wandayi cannot go to parliament for 12 months or for a whole session is punishing Ugunja people who have a right to representation.
KTN News Caravan continued with its tour in the county of Uasin Gishu and its environs. Be on the lookout tomorrow, of course, for the roadshow in Kericho as well. Speaking during the tour in Uasin Gishu County, Standard Group CEO Sam Shalay urged residents to watch KTN News because it is a channel which is big, bold, and better.
Ukiona juice ya tikitiki maji, ukiona news, unaona Mohamed Ali, unaona nani? Katika kipindi cha KTN News.
Nipe hiyo mguu mami. Nipe hiyo mguu mwingine. Mami nipe uzito.
Nimesemea viongozi kutoka tabaka mbalimbali. Mmoja wenyu ni mtoto hapa Eldoret, sivyo?
This road show started a few days ago in Naivasha. We have been into Nakuru, we've been into Kilgil, we have come to Eldoret today, and tomorrow we are going to Kericho. I'm asking all Kenyans to tune in KTN News at any time, 24 hours a day. You will get relevant news, updated news. Hakuna haja ya kungojea news mpaka saa 3 au saa 1 ya jioni.
KTN iko na vipindi vizuri na naomba wazidi wa improve kabisa, tuzidi kuwatazama kabisa.
Sikiliza habari kwa wingi kwa KTN News. Ndio station ndio naonanga kwa TV peke yake.